There was a man in Caesarea named Cornelius, a centurion of what was called the Italian regiment. He was a devout man and feared God along with his household. He did many charitable deeds for the Jewish people and always prayed to God. About 3 in the afternoon, he distinctly saw in a vision an angel of God who came in and said to him, Cornelius. Staring at him in awe, he said, What is this, Lord? The angel told him, Your prayers and your acts of charity have ascended as a memorial offering before God. Now send men to Joppa and call for Simon, who is also named Peter. He is lodging with Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the sea. When the angel who spoke to him had gone, he called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier, who was one of those who attended him. After explaining everything to them, he sent them to Joppa. Things to notice in these first 8 verses. The place where Cornelius lives. Caesarea, at this time, was a pretty much Roman city. It was the headquarters of the Roman governors. Pontius Pilate, the guy who, quote-unquote, crucified Jesus, ordered Jesus' crucifixion, lived there. The city itself was named after Caesar Augustus, and the city was created by Herod the Great, probably one of the most powerful Roman emperors that ever lived. Caesarea is introduced to us in the story 2 chapters ago, at the end of Acts chapter 8. After preaching to an Ethiopian on the road, and if you want to go back and listen to a sermon preached on Acts 8 by Alyssa, it's very good, it's on your YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and download the app and follow us on social media. Okay, back on track. The city is introduced there, and Philip, after preaching to this Ethiopian, is somehow transported to Caesarea, and he starts to preach the good news. We can infer that maybe Cornelius learned the gospel through Philip, or probably the disciples from Philip, which is very interesting. However, as I mentioned, this city Caesarea was very, very Roman. Some historians say that the population was like 50-50, 50 Jews, 50 Romans. And Cornelius himself was a man who was a centurion, as the text tells us. So for devout Jews, he was an outsider. I don't like Cornelius if I'm a Jew. He serves the most powerful government, people who are oppressing us. I don't like this guy. But he's kind of paradoxical in himself. Because first, he's a centurion, so I'm a Jew. I don't like him. Secondly, he's God-fearing. How does a centurion is God-fearing? It's a little odd. Gets even more odder. I don't know if that word exists. Just made that up. He has a good reputation among the Jews because he does good stuff for the Jews. So what's going on here? And if you think that's interesting, I hope you do, it gets more interesting because the Bible says that he was praying at 3 p.m., 3 in the afternoon. If you go back to Acts 3, the Bible tells us that this was the time of prayer in the temple. So why is this God-fearing man praying at the same time that Jews were praying? We see that this guy was longing for something more. The Bible says that he always prayed. We can do a little assumption here, saying that he was willing to have a relationship with God, a real relationship with God. And he was trying to do his best. With the tools that were given to him, with the knowledge that he had, he wanted to have more of God. When listening to Acts 10, when teaching on Acts 10, we focus on Peter and Peter's vision of God telling him, hey, don't call unclean what I have cleaned. But honestly, this morning, I will actually skip Peter's vision because for us, culturally, Cornelius is the main character. We do want as a church to be missionary, to go outside and preach the gospel, to make disciples of all nations. But do I understand the message of gospel who was preached to me one day? Do I appreciate God's revelation in his Son and the incarnation so that I, a fallen human being, can have everlasting life? A life that never ends because it's not I who live, but Christ who lives in me. We see in Acts 10 a man who was willing to have more and was excited for what he didn't even know. Let's keep reading.